Welcome to the finale of What If Naruto Was Shanks' Reincarnation? Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. But yeah, this is the finale. The movie version is going to be coming out in a couple days. I'm also going to be dropping What If Naruto Was Shanks' Reincarnation soon, so if you want to check that out, leave a like on this video, leave a like on the movie version, and with all that out of the way, let's get started.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Following Naruto's just devastating victory over Neji, we now get into the battles between Sasuke and Gaara. And I'm guessing many of you guys already know what's going to happen. The same thing that happened in the original with Sasuke running up the Chunin Tower and then pretty much rushing down, screaming, "Chidori!" ends up basically happening, causing Gaara's sand shield to break and Gaara's blood to leak. From here, the man starts going crazy, being like, "My blood!" and then fucking goes into the forest, freaking out. Like, just, you guys get the point, right? He goes into the forest, he starts freaking out, he starts whining like a little girl, and then Sasuke goes after him. We then have the two sand siblings chase after him, and Naruto would be one of the people who unfortunately ends up going after Sasuke instead of saving somebody worthwhile like Hiruzen. Never mind, it's give or take kind of, because Sasuke's young, Hiruzen already has one foot in death's door, so yeah, never mind, Naruto did make the right choice. Okay, but yeah, check me out. So basically what happens is the what's it called, what's that one dude's name with the bugs? Oh yeah, Shino ends up finding Kankuro, and someone else ends up finding Tamari. So then Naruto's able to arrive there right in time to save Sasuke from getting killed by Gaara. And as soon as he does this, Sasuke would look to Naruto with his ungrateful self and be like, "Get out of here, Naruto, I didn't need your help." But Naruto would just look back to Sasuke before saying, "Sure you didn't," as he then grabs a sword and rushes in at Gaara, using observation haki to dodge his blows, then goes on to cut Gaara's sand arm off, leaving Gaara to get angrier and angrier the more that Naruto would dodge and weave his attacks. It was as if Naruto was looking right through his attacks, as if he could see what was happening before it even happened. And that's exactly what was happening. Naruto was pretty much using observation haki in the way that Katakuri did, so that he could basically dodge everything that he threw at him and just make Gaara look like a laughingstock. This forces Gaara to get angrier and angrier until inevitably he ends up letting Shukaku take over, going into his one-tailed Shukaku state mode. When Naruto sees this, as strong and powerful as he is, he knows that he's not going to be defeating some giant mountain looking thing, so he immediately bites down on his thumb and says, "Summoning Jutsu!" as Gamabunta appears right underneath him, and he then goes on to ask him what he's doing there. Naruto then tells him that they're going to be fighting a tailed beast and if he's ready, and Gamabunta would smirk before saying, "You kidding? I was born ready." From here, he takes out a sword and then goes on to take the battle against Shukaku, fighting him in a pretty even playing field until eventually he turns into Kurama via the transformation jutsu. Sorry. And he then grabs onto Shukaku, long enough for Naruto to blitz in there and then get grabbed by Gaara's sand, as Gaara was pretty much freaking out, trying to crush Naruto with the sand, but Naruto simply would use his insane off-the-chart strength to break out of it, and then would form a shadow clone, which would then rush over towards Gaara and punch him square in the side of the head, knocking some sense back into Gaara, leading him to wake up and Naruto to look at Gaara on the ground and pretty much talk no jutsu him into submission. As soon as this goes down, Naruto is finally able to eventually kind of just talk to Gaara, I guess you could say, and tell him, "Hey, so this is how things are. You either chill out or I kill you." Gaara ends up pretty much calming down, and then Naruto returns to the village only to find out that Hiruzen's, well, dead. They then go on to have the funeral, and Jiraiya then asks Naruto to come with him to retrieve Tsunade. And during this time, I also want to mention that Sasuke still, again, does not have the curse mark. So this is actually going to be helping us a lot when it comes to the future. This little portion with Naruto and Jiraiya pretty much goes down just like it would in canon. Naruto goes on to learn the Rasengan the entirety of their trip there, and with Jiraiya being very vague in his key tips and tricks to Naruto for forming the Rasengan, it pretty much ends up taking Naruto the same time to learn it, except this time around he doesn't need a shadow clone and he can actually form it with one hand, just because having the handicap of needing a shadow clone to form a Rasengan is pretty dumb. At least that's what I think. But he does do his thing, and eventually the day would come where Itachi and Kisame would arrive. They end up pretty much pressing Naruto in the hotel room, and Naruto just goes on to essentially hold them off long enough for Jiraiya to arrive, saving him and Sasuke together. Following this, they end up finally meeting Tsunade, and this encounter pretty much goes down just like you guys would expect it in canon. The only real change to the story here is that the difficulty level is like low diff at best. Mid difficulty at best, just because it's Kabuto. I'm gonna throw him a bone and say it's a mid diff battle, but Naruto ends up slamming a Rasengan into him and destroying him, leading Orochimaru to have to retrieve with Kabuto, and once again have his plans foiled by this kid with some strange abilities. That said though, what ends up pretty much happening following this little situation is basically they end up returning back to the village, only to find out, hey, surprise, surprise, as soon as Sasuke wakes up after having his hatred amplified by his dumb big brother who made the dumbest plan to make Sasuke grow stronger. Like, if you hate me, I just can't get over how dumb Itachi's plan was to make Sasuke stronger. Like, he could have gotten stronger in another way and probably would have gained even more power, but instead he chose to leave the village that literally made shinobi like Itachi, Orochimaru, the legendary Sannin, Minato, Hashirama. Like, bro, this village be birthing some of the most powerful shinobis of all time, yet you leave for some dude, some weird closet pervert. I just can't. Anyways though, basically what ends up happening is as soon as he wakes up, he gets the offer from the Sound 4 ninjas telling him, hey buddy, yeah, come here. Sasuke ends up getting close to them, in the alleyway, and they're like, you should buy some of this stuff, buddy. You should really, consider buying this stuff. Sasuke takes a good whiff, he's like, and then from here, he just gets addicted to the power. He's like, all right, I'll come with you. He ends up deserting the village. Bing, bang, boom. We end up having the final battle at the Valley of the End. Naruto versus Sasuke, the final stand. And since Sasuke doesn't have the curse mark this time around, when Naruto and Sasuke end up having the Chidori Rasengan clash, Naruto doesn't even need to tap into the QB mode. He doesn't need it, like at all. Like at all. Even with you just using his observation haki, he could have whooped him. But yeah. He ends up doing the Chidori Rasengan clash, breaking Sasuke's arm, and that's being generous. He probably would have destroyed the whole thing if I wasn't being as generous as I am, but he shatters like literally every bone in Sasuke's arm and then drags him back alongside Kakashi back to the village. Following this, he ends up going on a 3-year time skip, and I'm guessing many of you guys are probably knowing what's gonna happen during this little time skip. We get evolved Naruto. The man's hair is finally full length. He doesn't have the beard quite yet because, the dude is like 16 right now. So, not yet, but give him a couple, like 4 more years and he'll get that beard. But he has a scar, the long blonde hair, the blue eyes. Bro, my man Naruto's finna kill it with the ladies when he comes back to the village. He ends up returning back to Konoha, where eventually he ends up finding out that, Sasuke stayed. He didn't actually end up trying anything after that. He's pretty happy about that. And that Gaara got kidnapped. Again, bro, this man gets like taken advantage of like every 5 minutes, bro. Like, stop, bro. You are a shinobi. But Naruto and Team 7 alongside Sasuke have to go save Gaara. Oh, and also a quick thing in case you guys are wondering, how strong did Naruto get over the time skip? Basically, what Naruto ended up achieving during this time was perfect chakra control. He ended up getting way better at taijutsu. He trained with a sword most of all, and he pretty much mastered all types of haki, meaning armament haki, observation haki, and conqueror's haki to their fullest extent. He also knows how to create a black blade, and his longsword is one of his favorite blades. Pretty much the same sword that Rayleigh would have used at the, I think it's the Archipelago arc, or like basically where the Straw Hats get separated by Kuma. That's the sword that Rayleigh's gonna be, or no, not Rayleigh, but Naruto's gonna be using to do all his battles from now on. From here, a lot of you guys are probably like, all right, so Team 7 is here. They're doing the Gaara retrieval mission. What exactly changes, Heather? Well, I was thinking about that, And the more that I thought about it, I was like, yeah, what does change? And to put it simply, a couple of things and a couple of things don't change. See, after this mini time skip, Naruto ended up pretty much finding out a lot about the Akatsuki, right? He ended up finding out that they are a very dangerous group. They have been pretty much capturing a bunch of tailed beasts over the years, and now they want to take Gaara. So he's not liking this. And this is going to be his first encounter with the actual Akatsuki members themselves. So here's what I picture happens. We still have the encounter between Lady Chiho and Kakashi. She ends up finding out, oh, that's not Sakumo I think that's his name. Sakumo Hotake, I think, the White Fang. I don't know, but she ends up having that encounter. Sakura is able to heal Kankuro. They end up arriving. Sakura, she puts her glove on or whatever, and then she goes, cha, and breaks the wall, revealing the Akatsuki members. Deidara, he exists. He ends up flying out with this clay bird, but not before Naruto, using observation haki, was able to jump up into the air and land on top of the bird alongside Deidara, leading to a really dope mid-air flying on top of a bird taijutsu clash between Deidara and Naruto, which obviously Deidara gets completely manhandled in because of Naruto's observation haki. Not only that, but every time that Deidara would luckily land a hit or pretty much get parried by Naruto with his fists, he would feel an incredible amount of pain because of the armament haki that is coating Naruto's body. Not only that, but Naruto is pretty much getting tired of the games. Essentially, Naruto ends up taking out one of the pages from Sasuke's book and pretty much taking off his sword, coating it with fire chakra as well as armament haki, and basically slicing at Deidara's head. That whole thing comes clean off. It's done. And while Naruto was taking care of that, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura were fighting against Sasori. This time around, Sasori, I'm going to be saying, is actually able to go all out, just because he's not just fighting some weak girl and Lady Chiyo, but actually a bunch of people. So the fight's actually a little bit more interesting, except it's not, because now he gets washed even faster than in the original. But the Akatsuki 2 members that just got taken out pretty much gives Naruto a good basic idea of how powerful the Akatsuki members truly are. Naruto is now currently realizing that he needs to take out these Akatsuki members sooner rather than later. So what does Naruto do, you might ask? He ends up pretty much completing his mission, making his way back to the Hidden Leaf after Gaara gets revived, of course, and to Lady Chiho, rest in peace! But yeah. And then basically what ends up happening following this little situationship is essentially Naruto goes on to train a little harder than he normally would. He ends up finding out about Itachi's situation with Sasuke actually wanting to go fight him, and so Naruto doesn't actually end up going off to help with Shikamaru's situation. Instead, I'm going to be saying that Kakashi versus Kakuzu is basically the way that Kakuzu gets defeated, and it is a high, and I mean astronomically high diff battle that Kakashi has to whip out the Mangekyo Sharingan for and be bedridden for about 3 weeks for because of how difficult the battle was. When it comes to Hidan, Shikamaru, like the G he is, would take him out single-handedly. No help needed because the man is just a genius. But when it comes to Naruto and Sasuke, they're off busy trying to take care of Itachi and Kisame. Now, when it comes to Kisame, him being a sword person, I think it was perfect to have Naruto tag along with Sasuke, telling him that he can go, but Naruto's coming with him just in case anything happens. Sasuke got angry and he pretty much tried to leave alone, but Naruto just followed him. And once they made it to the section where Kisame told Naruto that only Sasuke can go, Naruto was like, yeah, get out of my way. I'm not playing these games. And, Kisame put his hand on his shoulder, leading to Naruto kicking Kisame away, leading to Kisame grabbing the hilt of his sword and a smile would appear on his face. Naruto would then say, oh, you're a sword wielder. Let's see just how much you know. He holds his sword out and then goes on to essentially rush in at the direction of Kisame as he spins once and then slashes at the air and leading to Kisame essentially countering it, but Naruto's Conqueror's Haki would send Kisame flying into a wall, crashing into it, breaking tons of buildings. This would lead to Kisame wondering what that was, and then like getting up and like kind of realizing that Naruto is just a little bit too strong for him. So he ends up kind of tapping into his like merge state, where he ends up finally thinking that now he's gonna have the upper hand. He ends up pretty much creating a huge vortex of water that leads them to be inside like this. He uses the jutsu, which let me explain. It creates like a little domain of water for Kisame to be in, right? To make him move even faster. And he's in there, you know, he decides to use the strongest attack off rip, saying, "You will pay the price, die!" You know, he rushes in, and then we have Naruto with one finger just blocking Kisame's ultimate move, with Kisame being like Marco after, you know, he tried his thing with his claws and stuff, just being like shocked. And then Naruto just proceeds to essentially like throw him away and say, "You need at least another 100 years before you can fight me, young man," as he then rushes at the direction of Kisame and just proceeds to essentially knock the dude out. And by knock him out, I mean punch his head off, because that's exactly what happened. The dude ran up at him with his armament hockey fist in hands, and then just bam, just punched Kisame's head clean off of his body. Following this, he went on to go inside of the area where Sasuke was fighting Itachi, and he goes on to witness as Itachi's pretty much, you know, getting closer and closer and closer to Sasuke. He goes on to tell him, "I'm sorry, Sasuke," tapping his forehead and dying. Like, bro, why are you dying, bro? Dying is for chumps. You can't die, Itachi. Like, that's literally for chumps, bro. That is like, that's not cool, bro. But yeah, Itachi dies, sadly, because the man just couldn't keep going. But then after he dies, much like in the original, Obito ends up arriving and trying to pull some sneaky stuff by taking, you know, Sasuke away early, trying to essentially tell him about the secrets of the Uchiha clan, you know, Itachi's eyes, yada yada yada. But instead of that actually happening, I'm gonna be saying that Naruto actually steps in the way and in cool anime fashion just stands before Sasuke, who at this point is pretty much grieving, and looks at Obito and tells him, "You're not getting even a step closer to Sasuke." Obito just tells him to get out of his way and phases through Naruto. But Naruto goes on to grab the back of Tobi's cloak and throw him away from Sasuke, then saying, "Like I said, you're not touching Sasuke." And Obito wonders how come his phasing ability like didn't work. Now, for this instance, I'm going to be saying that Naruto, because of observation haki, is able to actually see where and when Obito's gonna like kind of, how do I put this, use his like Kamui ability. So he was able to pinpoint the exact spot where Naruto could actually pull by his cloak. After doing so, Obito goes on to say that he will die for his insolence, and then goes into rush at Naruto. And I'm just gonna say it right now, this is going to be literally a like 5-second clash, because Obito rushes in and then goes on to essentially like use a kunai by trying to like kind of cut into Naruto and kill him with a quick strike. But Naruto was able, using observation haki, dodge out of the way and then kick Obito, which goes right through his body. But then suddenly Naruto moves so fast that Obito was like, "Yo, where did this?" But before he could realize what had even happened, like Naruto would have quite literally already pierced his sword right into the back of Obito, and then like just shoved it in deeper and deeper, leading to Obito being like, "Oh yeah," but Naruto would be like, "Yo, pause." And then, you know, the man just goes on to essentially use Conqueror's haki to pretty much like, how do I put this? Like stun Obito. Obito was shocked in position, and that gave Naruto more than enough time to just chop the dude's head clean off. Zetsu, watching this nearby, was like, "Yo, I gotta get out of here." But Naruto could sense Zetsu and pretty much appeared right before him, before then in OP protagonist fashion, just killing Zetsu. This only leaves people like Pain, Konan, I think that's it when it comes to the Akatsuki. Pain and Konan are literally the only Akatsuki members left after this. So yeah, go figures. The attack on the village of Konoha still ends up happening, but this time around Naruto is still there, and after finding out that Jiraiya died, he was not playing no games. Not only that, but after realizing that, you know, Pain actually killed the entire village, this version of Naruto was not having no chill. He killed Nagato. He was not playing. Like, what, a death for a death. Like all the people that died in the village attack thingy-majigger, they stay dead. Because I don't know, me personally, I kind of feel like they should have stayed dead just for it to have felt more like tragic. I mean, I really didn't want Kakashi to die, but you know, still, I kind of feel like them staying dead kind of adds a little bit more spice to the overall narrative of the story. So I'm just going to be saying that they all stay dead and Naruto goes on to essentially destroy everybody. This will then lead to Kaguya's resurrection being essentially halted by, you know, Konoha and the other villages being like, yo, this Naruto kid, very OP. What do we do? But they realize they can't really do anything. Killer B ends up pretty much showing that he was alive the whole time. So Raikage A doesn't actually end up doing anything. And bada bida bing boom. That's the end of today's story. What did you guys think? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Do you guys think that I kind of rushed the ending? Do you think that it was kind of perfect? Because, I mean, let's be real here. What exactly changes in Shippuden? The only real changes that happen to the story is always gonna be Naruto's upbringing, the very beginning, because that's when Naruto's finding himself. And after the time skip, the Naruto with all these cool abilities that I end up throwing at him, it just makes everything like 100 times easier. But if you do end up enjoying these Naruto X One Piece videos, make sure to stay tuned for my What If Naruto is Shanks Reincarnation that's gonna be coming out in about 2 days from today's upload. That said, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace. Don't forget to smash that like button. Bye.